It was early morning when Olivia Mitchell arrived at the NATO bootcamp. The sky was still dark, and a cold wind blew across the training yard. Her truck rolled in slowly, its paint chipped and the tires covered in dried mud. She parked it far from the main barracks, climbed out, and threw her old backpack over one shoulder. Her t-shirt was faded, her hair tied in a low knot. She looked more like a supply worker than a soldier. From the first step she took, people stared. A group of unnoticed cadets near the gates burst into laughter. One guy, tall with a buzz cut and too much confidence, elbowed his friend. "Army takes janitors now?" he whispered. Another girl with a sharp ponytail and even sharper eyes laughed loudly. "Bet she's lost. This isn't a soup kitchen." Olivia said nothing. She walked past them without even looking up. Her boots made a soft, tired sound on the gravel, like they had already been through too much. Inside the registration hall, Captain Harrow stood with a clipboard in his hand. He was a big man, with a face like carved stone and a voice like thunder. "You," he shouted, pointing at Olivia. "You with the sad boots. Lost your supply truck?" Some cadets laughed again. Olivia stood still. Her eyes were calm. "No, sir, I'm here to train." Harrow frowned. "Didn't know we were taking volunteers from the thrift store. You sure you're in the right place?" "Yes, sir." He shook his head and pointed toward the yard. "Then get in line. Try not to slow us down." The line of recruits moved into the training zone. Push-ups, planks, crawling in mud, every drill was loud, rough, and fast. Olivia said nothing. She did every move without complaining. But people kept noticing her, though not for the right reasons. Her backpack was old, the zipper broken and held together with a paperclip. Her shoelaces came undone again and again. Her shirt clung to her back with sweat. During one sprint, a guy named Lance ran beside her. "Hey, charity case," he called out. "Your shoes giving up? Or just your body?" The others laughed. Olivia stopped, knelt quietly, and tied her laces again. As she stood, Lance bumped her shoulder. She fell into the mud. They howled with laughter. She said nothing. At lunch, things didn't get better. Olivia took her tray to a quiet corner. The cafeteria was filled with voices, loud, fast, bragging. Stories. She sat alone. Her mashed potatoes were cold. She didn't care. Derek, the loud cadet from earlier, walked over. He dropped his tray across from her with a crash. "Hey, you got lost again, girl?" She looked at him without emotion. "Just eating." He leaned forward. "This seat's for soldiers." He flicked his spoon. Mashed potatoes splashed on her shirt. The room laughed. Olivia wiped it with a napkin, her eyes on her food. She kept eating, calm, quiet, like none of it touched her. Later that day, during a rope drill, Olivia sat on a bench, biting into a granola bar. Her hands were covered in rope burns. Her shirt had fresh tears near the sleeve. Tara, the girl with the ponytail, walked over with two friends. "So," she said in a sweet but fake voice, "where are you even from? Win a radio contest to get in here?" Olivia chewed slowly and sighed. "I applied." Tara laughed. "Why? You don't exactly scream elite." She waved a hand at Olivia's plain brown hair and muddy clothes. "I'm here to train," Olivia replied, "not to entertain you." Tara blinked, then muttered, "Weirdo," before walking away. That night, Olivia sat alone in her bunk. She pulled out a small photo from her backpack. It was old, creased at the edges. In it, a younger Olivia stood beside a tall man in uniform. His face was blurred. His posture was straight. His arm was around her. She stared at it for a moment, then placed it back. Lights out. She lay on her back, hands behind her head, and stared at the ceiling. The next morning, the navigation test began. The cadets had to cross a forest trail using only a map and compass. Olivia moved alone, quiet among the trees. But halfway through, Kyle, another loudmouth, saw her resting under a pine tree, checking her route. "Hey, Dora the Explorer," he shouted. "Lost already?" His group laughed. He walked up, snatched her map, and tore it in half. The pieces blew away with the wind. The others cheered. Olivia looked at the scraps in the air, then at Kyle. "Hope you know your way back," she said, and walked off. No panic. No drama. Just silence. Later that day, during the rifle cleaning drill, everything changed for a moment. Cadets had 2 minutes to take apart their M4 South and reassemble them. Most struggled. Some cursed. And Olivia stepped up. Her hands moved like a machine. Calm. Clean. 52 seconds. No mistakes. Sergeant Polk stared at the timer. "Where'd you learn that?" he asked. Olivia wiped her hands. "Practice." People started whispering, but they still didn't respect her. They didn't know the truth. Not yet. They still thought Olivia was just a quiet nobody from nowhere. But that was about to change. Forever. The days at boot camp grew harder, and so did the insults. Olivia Mitchell was still the target of jokes, and she was still quiet. She spoke only when needed and followed every order without complaint. But most cadets didn't care. To them, she was the weakest, the slow one, the one who wouldn't fight back. Captain Harrow watched from a distance. He saw how Olivia never yelled, never asked questions, never smiled. She trained like a shadow, calm, focused, alone. On the third morning, the terrain run was brutal. 10 miles over rocks, hills, and dirt, carrying full gear. Olivia tied her laces tight, adjusted her oversized vest, and stepped into the line. The whistle blew. They ran. Tara was behind Olivia, breathing heavy. "Pick it up. Charity case?" she hissed. "You're dragging us down." Olivia said nothing. Halfway through the course, Tara pushed Olivia's elbow. It was small, barely a nudge, but enough. Olivia stumbled, caught a rock, and fell off the trail. Her ankle twisted, and she hit the ground hard. "Mitchell," Captain Harrow's voice thundered. "You broke formation. Squad loses points." The rest groaned. Lance rolled his eyes. "Nice job, Mitchell. Real team player." Olivia didn't argue. She got up, wiped the dirt off her knees, and rejoined the group. She ran the rest of the course limping slightly, but didn't stop. At the finish line, Harrow pointed at her. 5 extra laps. Move." The other cadets stood by drinking water, some smirking as Olivia began running again. Her breaths came hard. Sweat dripped down her neck. Her vest clung to her body like dead weight. Still, she didn't quit. When she finally finished, Tara tossed an empty bottle at her feet. "Hydrate with air." She laughed. Olivia picked it up, crushed it in her hand, and dropped it in the trash. No words, just action. That night, the barracks were noisy. Jokes, music, teasing voices. Olivia sat on her bunk, silently tying the thing. Same old shoelaces again. A cadet named Jenna walked by with a group. They noticed Olivia's empty food tray from earlier in the day. She'd been last in line, and the food had run out. Jenna grinned and dropped a half-eaten apple onto Olivia's tray. "Here," she said in a fake sweet voice. "Don't want you starving. You need strength to clean our boots, right?" The group laughed. Olivia looked at the apple, then at Jenna. "Thanks," she said softly. Then she picked it up and took a slow, steady bite. The laughter died out. Jenna didn't know what to say. She expected a fight, or maybe tears. But Olivia didn't give her that. She just ate the apple like it was hers from the start, then stood up and walked past them, her shoulder lightly brushing Jenna's making the taller girl step back. The first time, the room fell silent as Olivia left. The next day brought a new challenge night drills. The cadets had to set up a defense line using ropes and markers under flashing lights and fake gunfire. It was loud, chaotic, and confusing. Olivia moved with care, planting her posts, tying her rope low and tight. But Marcus, a stocky cadet who loved to laugh loud, noticed her working alone. He walked over, smiling wide. "Oops," he said as he grabbed her rope and yanked it free. "Guess you're not cut out for this, huh?" The others nearby laughed. Olivia didn't argue. She picked up the rope and tied it again. Marcus kicked dirt over her hands. "Keep trying, princess. Maybe you'll get it by sunrise." More laughter. Olivia didn't flinch. She kept working. When the drill ended, the instructors checked every barrier. Marcus's rope line was loose too high, not secure. His squad lost points. No one saw Olivia go near it, but Elena, quiet and observant, watched from the side with a tiny smile. She knew. Later that night, Olivia sat alone, cleaning mud off her boots. Elena came over, sat beside her, and pulled a folded paper from her jacket. It was a spare map. "You'll need this," she whispered, her voice low, "for the ridge course." Olivia took it without a word, nodded once, and tucked it into her pack. Elena didn't ask questions. She didn't need to. The next morning, long-range shooting drills began. 5 shots. 400 meters. 5 bullseyes, or you fail. Tara missed 2 shots. Her hands were shaking. Lance hit 4 out of 5. He cursed, blaming the wind. Then Olivia stepped up. Some snickered. Some whispered, "Bet she can't even hold it right." Tara said. Olivia lay on the ground, rifle steady. No shaking. No blinking. 5 shots, 5 perfect hits. All dead center. The range officer checked the target twice, then said in a shocked voice, "Mitchell. Perfect score." An older colonel standing nearby narrowed his eyes. "Who trained her?" he asked softly. "That's a special forces trigger." Lance scoffed. "So what? Maybe she got lucky." But luck had nothing to do with it. Later, during the gear check, an officer noticed Olivia's rifle had a misaligned scope off by inches. She had corrected for it with every shot. "That's not luck," the officer muttered. "That's skill, real skill." Still, the others didn't know the full story. Not yet, but something in the air had changed. People were watching Olivia. Now not to mock her, but to understand her. Tara leaned over to Lance at dinner and whispered, "She's got some sad backstory, I bet. Poor kid from nowhere trying to play soldier." Lance laughed. "Yeah, she's still a nobody." But Olivia's fingers paused for a second as she tied her laces again. Just for a second. Then she went on, calm and quiet. As if she was sealing something deep inside her, something the others would soon see and never forget. The camp woke early, the sky still dark. Today was the combat simulation 1-on-1. No weapons, just skill. The air was tense. Some cadets were nervous. Others were ready to show off. Olivia sat at the edge of the field, tying her laces for the 100th time. She said nothing as the instructor shouted names. One by one, cadets stepped forward to fight. When they called her name, "Mitchell, you're up." Against Lance, the yard filled with low chuckles. Lance grinned wide. "Finally," he said, "let's see if quiet girl knows how to fight." Tara whispered to the others, "She'll break in 5 seconds." Olivia stepped forward, calm as ever. She looked smaller next to Lance. He cracked his knuckles. She just stood there, waiting. The whistle blew. Lance didn't wait. He charged, fast and rough, and grabbed Olivia by the collar. With one hard shove, he slammed her into the wall. The sound of fabric ripping filled the air. Olivia's shirt tore from the shoulder down her back. The cadets burst into laughter. She's inked up too? Tara shouted. What is this? A biker gang? Lance leaned close, breathing heavy. This isn't daycare, Mitchell. It's a battlefield. Go home. But then it happened. The laughter stopped. A sudden silence fell over the yard, because someone saw it. On Olivia's back, just below her right shoulder blade, was a black tattoo. Faded, simple, and shaped like a snake coiled in a V-sharp lines. Cold design. One of the instructors, a young sergeant, stepped forward slowly. His face went pale. No way, he whispered. The symbol was small but deadly. It was the mark of Ghost Viper, a secret elite special forces unit. Few ever wore it. Fewer lived long with it. From the far side of the field, a high-ranking officer who had been watching with a clipboard suddenly stood straight. Colonel Reeds. He squinted, staring at Olivia's back. His eyes widened. His face changed from stern to stunned Dot. He walked toward the group quickly, his boots thudding on the dirt. Cadet Mitchell, he said, voice tight. Where did you get that tattoo? Olivia turned slowly. Her shirt hung open at the back. The tattoo clear. It was my father's, she said, voice steady. Commander Joel Mitchell, Ghost Viper, killed in action. I had it copied the day I joined. Colonel Reeds stopped in his tracks. He looked at her again, this time not as a cadet, but as something else. Someone who carried weight. Someone with a story. I served with your father, the colonel said. Quietly. He saved my life once. The yard was silent. Even Lance stepped back. Captain Harrow walked forward, his mouth slightly open. Ghost Viper? He asked. That's Black Ops. Olivia nodded. I didn't come here to be seen. I came to earn it. No one said a word. The silence was thicker than the air. Even the trees seemed to stop moving. Tara's face was pale now. She looked at the tattoo, then at Olivia's calm eyes. She took a small step back. Lance lowered his fists. For the first time, he didn't know what to say. You didn't tell us. Someone muttered. Olivia looked around at them. Her voice was low but clear. You didn't ask. Colonel Reeds stepped closer. He raised his hand, and then he saluted her. Straight, proper, silent. The entire yard froze. This wasn't normal. No officer saluted a cadet, not unless Captain Harrow followed. Then the sergeant. 3 salutes. Quiet, respectful. The rest of the cadets just watched, some confused, some in shock. Elena, standing at the back, whispered, I knew she was different. That night, the mood changed in camp. No more jokes. No more kicks under the table. No one flicked food at her tray. No one bumped her shoulder in line. Olivia still said little. She still sat alone, still trained in silence. But now, eyes followed her. In a new way. Not with mocking. But with caution. With curiosity. With respect. Captain Harrow called her into his office after dinner. He closed the door gently. Mitchell, he said, I owe you an apology. I treated you like you didn't belong. Olivia didn't speak. You could have bragged. You could have used your name, but you didn't. I'm not here to be a name, she said. I'm here to earn the uniform. The captain nodded. Your father was a legend. I know. Harrow took a breath. You've already earned more than most of them ever will. I'm not done yet. That night, Olivia sat on her bunk again, the old photo in her hand. She stared at the man beside her in the picture, his uniform crisp, his eyes proud. Didn't cry. She never cried. She tucked the photo back into her bag and laid down, hands behind her head, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow was another day. But it wouldn't be the same. Because now they knew. Now they all knew. She wasn't just some quiet girl with dirty boots. She was Olivia Mitchell, daughter of a ghost viper, and she was here to finish what he started. The last week of boot camp had begun, and everything felt different. The cadets no longer laughed when Olivia walked by. No one called her names. No one knocked her tray over. Some cadets, like Elena, even nodded to her now, quietly showing respect. But Olivia didn't change. She still trained alone. She still spoke only when needed. She still tied the same worn-out shoelaces every morning. Captain Harrow started watching her more closely. He had stopped yelling at her like he did in the beginning. He saw something in her now. Something real. The final tests were coming. The ones that decided who would pass and who would be sent home. First came the shooting test. 5 targets at different distances, in wind and sun. Olivia lay on her stomach, calm, breathing slow. She didn't rush. She didn't miss. 5 shots, 5 hits. Perfect again. The instructors nodded. She doesn't shake, one said. Not even once. She's got her father's blood, another whispered. But Olivia didn't smile. She stood up, cleaned her weapon, and moved on. That night, during dinner, Olivia's tray was empty again. The food had run out before she reached the front. She sat anyway, sipping water. She was used to this by now. A tall girl named Jenna, who used to laugh at her, walked over with an apple in her hand. She placed it on the table. Here, Jenna said quietly. No jokes this time. Olivia looked at her. Then she picked up the apple and took a slow bite. Thanks, she said. It was only one word, but it made Jenna pause. She gave a small nod and walked away. No laughter. No insults. People had started to see the truth. She wasn't there for attention. She wasn't there for pity. She was there to finish something her father had died doing. Next came the final combat exam. It was hand to hand. No pads, no help. The instructors paired the cadets. Most were nervous. Lance was called to fight again. And once more, his name was matched with Olivia's. He sighed loudly. Come on, he groaned. Again? Captain Harrow raised an eyebrow. You scared, cadet? Lance scoffed. Of her? Never. They stepped into the ring. This time, there was no laughter. Everyone was quiet. The whistle blew. Lance charged like before. He was bigger. He was faster. He tried the same move, grab and slam. But this time, Olivia twisted, slipped out, and dropped low. Her legs swept his out from under him. He hit the ground hard. Gasps filled the air. Lance growled, jumping up, charging again. This time she dodged, then locked his arm and turned his body. He landed flat again. Wind knocked out of him. The whistle blew. Fight over. Silence. Captain Harrow stared. Mitchell wins. Nobody clapped. They just watched. Stunned. Olivia stepped out of the ring like nothing happened. She picked up her water bottle, took a sip, and walked off. Later that day, she was called into Colonel Reed's office. He stood by the window, hands behind his back. Mitchell, he said, without turning, you've passed every test. More than that, you've earned something that can't be measured by a score. She waited quietly. The colonel turned around. Your father trained with me. He was the best soldier I ever knew. But what you've done here on your own is something he would have been proud of. Olivia lowered her eyes. I didn't come here to wear his name, she said softly. I came to earn my own. You have, Reed said. Then he saluted her once more. This time, Olivia returned it. Graduation day came fast. The sun was bright. Flags flew high. The cadets stood in perfect rows. Friends and families watched from the bleachers. Olivia stood in the front row, still in her faded boots, her uniform a little loose, but her eyes steady. Some cadets were smiling, whispering to each other. Olivia stood still. When her name was called Cadet Olivia Mitchell, there was a pause in the crowd, then silence. Then, slowly, Colonel Reed stepped onto the platform and walked toward her. He didn't just shake her hand. He handed her a black patch. Ghost Viper, gasps came from the rows behind her. "You've earned this," he said. Elena smiled in the crowd. Captain Harrow clapped once hard. Others followed. Olivia looked at the patch. She closed her hand around it. Later, she stood at the edge of the field, watching the sky. Her old backpack was still by her feet, her boots still dusty. But now there was something new on her chest, .respect. And something new on her shoulder, .legacy. She didn't speak to the crowd. She didn't tell her story. She didn't need to. They had already seen it. Every bruise, every silence, every test she passed without crying, every moment she chose strength over revenge. That was the story. That was Olivia Mitchell. The girl they mocked, the girl they ignored, the girl they tried to break, and the girl who walked out of boot camp with a salute from a colonel and the mark of Ghost Viper on her back. She hadn't just survived. She had become unforgettable.